Hey everyone, it's time for another reaction video, and we've got a fun one for you here today. I think a lot of you guys saw my recent two-part series debunking Bart Sibrel, the premier moon landing denier. Those were some very fun pieces. I had put that one off for a while, and then I finally decided to dig into it, and I'm glad I did because it was a gold mine. Those were some fun. That was some fun content to make there. So now, many of you are aware that the Artemis 2 mission is happening at right now. Actually, I mean, certainly right now at the time that I'm filming this, they're right around they're in lunar orbit right now. This will come out in a few days, so they'll probably be just about getting back. But the internet is abuzz talking about Artemis 2. It's very exciting. It's the first time humans have been all the way out to the moon. Even though they're not landing Artemis 3, they'll land on the lunar surface. Artemis 2, they are just going to test some stuff, test the new equipment and everything. And so all the moon landing deniers and flat earthers and everybody are going absolutely insane because the existence of this mission just kind of ruins everything that they ever say and do. And so we're going to talk a little bit about Artemis. I'm going to do probably more content later about Artemis. I might do a piece just making fun of all the flat earthers that are freaking out about Artemis and just going fake with zero basis, because that's the funniest thing in the entire world. And I probably will also do some content more in earnest, just talking about the Artemis mission, maybe an interview, just to kind of, we don't have to talk about flat earth. Like, there's a lot to talk about. Artemis is a very interesting mission, and we want to talk about what's going to happen with Artemis 3 as well. So that might happen too. But first, I wanted to do this reaction video because Bart Sibrel went on Piers Morgan in the midst of all the hype about Artemis, and is there to defend his life's work, as it were, and judging from the title here, I don't think it went too well for him. Now, as is usually the case, I had been corresponding with a producer on Piers for quite some time about this. He wanted me to debate Bart on Piers. And I immediately said absolutely. And then what I imagine happened is that they told Bart, and he obviously is aware of my recent content on him, and said, no fucking way am I going to interact with that guy who will demolish me in 10 seconds flat and humiliate me. So you won't be surprised who they got instead of me. I didn't hear back, and then I saw this episode, so I was like, oh great, all right, that was the one that I should have done. And then, so yeah, but the title is "You're Full of Shit. Piers Morgan takes down moon landing denier. Artemis 2 debate." So it seems like probably this is one of the rare moments where Piers is proudly championing the side of logic and reality, and just decided that this is one instance in which he's going to show everyone how smart and in favor of science he is. So anyway, this one's gonna be fun. It's a 46 minute piece. It's about 10:50 right now. Yeah, I we'll see how quickly we can cruise through this. But I felt very confident after having done that two-part series. And Bart, I know, is just going to spew his normal talking points. So this is a slam dunk reaction video. So that's what this one is going to be. So we are reacting to Bart Sibrel on Piers Morgan with a few other interesting guests. So let's go ahead and get started right now. Before diving into the reaction, I wanted to tell you about this really cool book from Hungry Minds. It's called The Book, The Ultimate Guide to Rebuilding Civilization. Unlike Bart, who denies one of humanity's greatest achievements, this book is an encyclopedia of human innovation. Check this out. It's a visual journey through human history, 400 pages, 180 topics, all with this incredible medieval art style, making tools, farming, machinery, all kinds of rare knowledge. It has everything you need to build your own civilization from scratch. Whether you're into engineering or the arts, this will captivate you. I want to show you a few pages here. We start all the way at the beginning with how to make fire. I'm not a very outdoorsy guy, so if I found myself in the apocalypse, this would come in pretty handy. Then there's a bunch of stuff on the history of medicine, all kinds of other practical stuff. This is a super cool book. It's the perfect coffee table book. You can pick it up, learn about something for 10 minutes, put it back for later. It's also the perfect gift for that nerd in your life. Click the link in the description or use the QR code you see here. Make sure to use the promo code ProfessorDave10 and pick up your copy from Hungry Minds today.
The most powerful government in the world falsified their alleged greatest accomplishment. They did indeed fake the moon landing.
I want to treat Bart as a colleague, maybe not as an equal.
I'm not an equal. Oh my goodness.
If you would let me teach you some physics, then you could make your argument stronger.
Charlie Duke is...
Yeah, so they got Keating. Keating is, as many of you know, a gigantic joke. He is constantly platforming and ball-licking Eric Weinstein. He is affiliated with Discovery Institute. He is being featured in their new feature film coming out, their giant propaganda theatrical release that's coming out pretty soon. I'll probably do something on that because it's a complete joke. And he also took down, he interviewed me once and then took it down off of his channel because I was bad-mouthing Discovery Institute in it. So he's getting certainly some dark money from the DI. He's a complete joke, but even for him, this one is going to be a slam dunk. Like he's like, oh great, let me do this one so I can, kind of influence my reputation in a more positive light and defend the moon landing. So they got Keating here, and then that looks like a pretty funny clip. Bart's like sarcastically, "I'm not your equal." Yeah, he is a fraud, but he's also a scientist. He is a real scientist. You're a fraud and a science illiterate moron. So I'm sorry, you are not his equal. And then let's check out this next bit.
Is an Apollo astronaut, the 10th and youngest man to walk on the surface of the moon. What do you feel about the conspiracy theorists who think the moon landings were all invented? They never happened. They're fake.
You're willfully ignorant if you don't believe that we landed on the moon.
What is the mindset of somebody who said, well, it didn't really happen? That's like the denial of humanity. These crazy individuals shouldn't have our attention.
Given this is the furthest that...
I agree, William Shatner. They shouldn't have our attention, but they garner the attention of many, many, many people, so they must be dealt with. And that was Charlie Duke. If you watched part 2 of my mini-series debunking Bart, he was on the Danny Jones podcast. They were on there together. And just like he's doing here, I mean, Charlie's very, very old, and, it was walked on the moon, arguably a hero, so we shouldn't expect too much from him. It's really always just kind of this, like, this is crazy that people wouldn't believe this. And yes, it is crazy. Yes, it is crazy, but we need some actual debunking. So people are not convinced by, emotionally charged rhetoric in support of the moon landing. The claims must be debunked. So Charlie doesn't do a whole lot of that. I can't imagine Shatner's going to do a whole lot of that. They're just going to kind of talk about how ridiculous Bart is, which is all well and good. So yeah, let's check it out.
NASA have ever sent a rocket. Presumably you think this must be fake too. The Artemis 2 mission to the dark side of the moon will be the furthest human beings have ever travelled from Earth. It's a precursor to a full return to the lunar surface and perhaps even reaching Mars. But for this trip, historic though it is, there will be no landing, no walking, no flags planted. Very much unlike the Apollo mission of 50 years ago.
Yeah, so quick aside here, a lot of moon landing deniers are like, this is so ridiculous. They went to the moon 50 years ago, and now they're not even landing on it. They're just going to do a flyby. Yeah, so there's this thing called caution, right? You take precautions. It's new equipment, right? During the Apollo missions, which number Apollo mission first put humans on the lunar surface? Apollo 11, right? That's the 11th mission in the Apollo program. Now, not every single one. Some of them were, adjusting hardware and stuff like that. But Apollo 8 and Apollo 10 did manned flybys. So Apollos 8 and 10, there were humans inside the spacecraft, and they did not go down to the lunar surface. 8 just went around, and then 10 deployed the lunar module but didn't land it, right? It tested the lunar module, went down, kind of skimmed, a dozen or 24 kilometers above the lunar surface. I don't remember exactly how much, and then came back up to rendezvous with the control module. So that's 2 manned missions around the moon without landing. Okay, so this is Artemis 2. Artemis 1 just went up to orbit. Artemis 2 is testing. It's all new stuff, right? They're not taking the same craft from the 60s and 70s, right? This is Orion is a completely new spacecraft. So everything is new. All the equipment, everything is new. So they're testing it one time. They're testing it one time. They're going to go around to make sure everything's working great. And then Artemis 3, the third mission in this series of missions, will put humans on the lunar surface. I believe in 2028. I don't remember exactly what the timeline is. I'll do a dedicated Artemis video later with lots of facts. This is just to dunk on Bart. And the people who say these ridiculous things like, oh my gosh, it's so silly. Why can't they land on? Because they're testing shit, dude. It's not like NASA isn't just like, it'll be fine, chance it. No, come on, it's gonna be, shut up. Don't worry about it. Just go, just land. What's the worst that could happen? People dying, astronauts dying in a failed mission is the worst that could happen. It almost happened on Apollo 13. Remember? So yeah, that's something to keep in mind here.
In a moment, we'll talk to the man who says he's on a CIA hit list because he blew the whistle on what he says are the original moon landings being fake. But first, let's talk to the Chancellor's Distinguished Professor of Physics at UC San Diego and host of the Into the Impossible podcast. Welcome to you, Professor Keating. How are you?
Good to see you again, Piers.
Well, good to see you. I'm obviously about to talk to Bart Sibrel. He's made himself pretty infamous by ending up being punched by Buzz Aldrin for questioning to his face that he'd walked on the moon and been part of that, of course, that first immortal trip. Before we get to him, what is your view of people that just don't want to believe this has ever happened?
I think it's something we need to take very seriously, but not literally. In other words, there are reasons you could say there could be reasons why NASA and maybe the U.S. government, and maybe even the CIA would want to put a whack on Bart, as I've heard him describe it. Perhaps, there are some mistruths that our government tell from time to time. But in order to believe the moon landings in the 1960s and 70s were fake, you need to believe a whole host of things that not only require vast conspiracy numbers involving hundreds of thousands of people, you need to suspend your scientific reasoning and your ability to search for truth. Piers, we live in an age that's sometimes called post-truth or post-fact, where you're entitled to your own, ideas and theories. But in reality, what worries me more is not that people get facts wrong. I mean, that happens all the time. It happens to me all the time as a scientist. But it's that we undermine the process of truth-seeking that no society can withstand. So I'm hoping to talk to Bart. He knows about me. I've invited him to chat on my podcast, and he's turned it down for reasons that I don't understand. So I'm eager to talk to him because I think it's instructive for the public to see not only the great triumphs, but why we know for certain that these things happen and why it speaks to not only American exceptionalism, but humanity's exceptionalism.
American exceptionalism, yeah. So Keating obviously grandstanding about the scientific process while collaborating with Discovery Institute, a disgusting, toxic Christian propaganda mill that lies nonstop about every field of science. So that's great. That's great for him. Although, of course, in this case, he will be the voice of reason. I don't like this the idea that it's credible that the CIA would have Bart on a hit list. How idiotic is that? The CIA is not thinking about Bart Sibrel. He's a pointless loser. It's just nobody cares about Bart. Nobody cares about Bart. If the CIA wanted to kill Bart Sibrel, he would have been dead 40 years ago. This thing of Bart, go, if you haven't seen him, go watch I think it's part 2. Where he's just again telling these stories of they shut my car down with an EMP, and then I outran their cars on foot, and then they got me and they gave me a truth serum, but then I broke out of the CIA prison and ran away, and then I guess they can't find me for forever after that. I don't know. I guess that maybe they keep trying to find me and I keep running away. The CIA can kill anyone in the whole world. They can kill political leaders like that. They can kill Bart Sibrel if they want to. So let's not lend any credence to this idea that he's on some kind of kill list. That's insane.
You know what, we'll come back and discuss Artemis specifically in a bit, but given you've teed this up very nicely, and we have Bart Sibrel waiting. Joining me now is Bart Sibrel, who has been what many view as a conspiracy investigator about the moon landing, saying they're fake. He even confronted, as I said, Buzz Aldrin.
Where is he? Why is he in a fucking cave? Why is it pitch black around him? Where is he calling in from? He's calling from his secret hideaway where the CIA can't find him. On an encrypted connection, I think, right? Is that what's going on?
Let's take a look at what happened then.
You got to keep shooting, man. Okay, well, you can put it on your shoulder. Don't be shy.
Just come with me, Buzz.
You really like attention, don't you?
You're the one who said you walked on the moon when you didn't. Calling the kettle black, if I ever thought of it. Saying I misrepresented myself.
Away from me.
You're a coward and a liar and a thief.
Well, Bart Sibrel joins me now. Welcome to Uncensored. I've actually met Buzz Aldrin. All I remember is he had one of the hardest handshakes I've ever encountered on any human being ever. So you were quite courageous there, Bart Sibrel.
That checks out. But also, no, Bart was not courageous. And they also removed, it's not like they're going to play the whole clip. It's a segment. But Bart was harassing Buzz for several minutes, following him all around that property. I think it's a hotel or a restaurant or something. He was just blatantly harassing Buzz, and he deserved that punch more than anyone I've ever seen take a punch like that. And it's music to my ears every time.
Albeit, as you were calling one of the great modern heroes a coward. Why are you so obsessed about branding the lunar landings fake?
Well, because one of the most historic events in human history isn't putting a man on the moon. It's that the most powerful government in the world that hypocritically claims to represent truth and justice falsified their alleged greatest accomplishment. They did indeed fake the moon landing. And Brian, first time I've ever seen you speak, he's obviously highly intelligent and a very reasonable person. Unfortunately, people want to believe a tantalizing lie like their team ran or won the Super Bowl. What he claims I'm denying scientific reasoning, but actually he's doing that because it's never happened in the history of the world that a milestone technologically occurred, like let's say flying across the Atlantic in 1927. Or breaking the sound barrier, or splitting the first atom. It's never happened in the history of the world that more than 50 years later, no one could accomplish it.
Absolute rubbish.
Hopefully will happen.
Yeah, I mean, they're doing it right now, right? Can't accomplish it. They landed 6 times. They put people on there 6 times, and they left a bunch of equipment to keep taking data. How many fucking times are they supposed to go? Are they supposed to go every year indefinitely, spending billions and billions and billions of dollars that they don't have because of all the budget cuts to NASA immediately after, when the Apollo program ended? This is the dumbest script ever, and it's all he's got. Every single example is the same every single time. Crossing the Atlantic, blah blah blah, all this shit. It's absolutely ridiculous, and he's saying this during Artemis 2 being on the way to the moon, or I don't know, remember exactly when this was filmed. Probably a few days before this was being published, so they probably hadn't launched yet. But what do you want, man? And the idea that Brian is denying science. Give me a fucking break, dude. All of the footage from the lunar surface cannot be faked. It proves that they went there. All the shit with the shadows that you do, it's all a bunch of crap. All the moon rocks, all of the physical features of the moon rocks, isotopic ratios and all that stuff that I discussed in my two-part miniseries. That is what Bart is denying. And we'll see how much of that we get into. I can't imagine we'll get into too much of it, but hopefully some of it.
Absolute
today.
rubbish.
Well, you know, let me. I'm up against 50. We've heard your side of the story for 57 years.
No, I
I'm
would
up
love to just
against the
comment on
CIA
that because
and the
Bart,
history, whatever.
I have actual experience with an event that happened and it was separated by 60 years. I reached the South Pole twice in 2007 and 2009. Do you know who the first people to reach the South Pole were, Bart?
Well, Amundsen Scott.
Yeah, that's
were
right.
the
And you
people
know,
there.
Amundsen
It
was
took
for
4
Norway.
attempts. It took 4
Hold
attempts
on
to
one
reach the
second.
South Pole on
Amundsen
Earth,
was the
but
first
they went to the
person
moon
from
ahead of
Norway to ever
schedule.
reach it. And we didn't go back for 50 years until 1964. Bart, we didn't go back for 50 years exactly like what happened. Was it harder? Have I never been to the South Pole, Bart?
I don't know. I mean, I presume that you
I have
went.
video evidence of me there.
Okay,
interviewed
so
by
here
John
we are
Boxley.
with 6. I'm not denying that. The fact is we
But
have
you just made a
6
claim that
decades.
nothing gets easier unless it's technically true.
Well, I can offer.
So you're saying it didn't happen because we
I
didn't
would
go
like
back.
to offer my own
Wait a minute.
contribution. Well, hang on, Bart.
I'm not getting much time to share.
Pierce just interrupting right at the moment when Brian is nailing him with something. No, they didn't go back for 50 years. Okay, well, they didn't go back to the South Pole for 50 years. Did they fake the first South Pole visit? It's a pretty decent point. It's a pretty good shutdown here. And Piers is like, I can't have that. I need to be talking now.
Hear my side of the story here.
But hang on. I'd like to offer my own contribution to that debate because I personally went on the last Concorde flight, which was about 20 years ago. And we have gone backwards in the speed of passenger air travel because it now takes twice as long for me to get to New York as it did 20 years ago. So there's another example.
The question is, are there aircraft that fly higher and faster than the Concorde? And there are.
Not with, not with passengers.
Well, people are on board the M25.
They're not with commercial. No, there's no commercial plane.
31.
There's no commercial plane that can get to New York in
There's no commercial plane that can
about
go to the moon
6.5
either.
hours. Whereas Concorde did it in 2 hours 58. So the premise of your argument.
There's no commercial plane that can get to the moon. That is something that just came out of his dumb fuck mouth. Is that his big flex is that an airplane, a commercial airplane with wings that flies based on Bernoulli's principle and atmosphere, pushing the pressure pushing up on the wings. That can't go to the moon through space where there's no atmosphere. That's a thing that he decided that he should say publicly right now. Incredible.
Is flawed because you've already heard one example from Brian, you've heard one from me. I'm sure there are myriad other examples. But I'm just keen, before we get too far into the weeds on that part of it, you said here about the lunar landings, in order to appreciate the full absurdity of the lie, it bears repeating what both the US government and NASA claimed in the 60s. On the very first attempt, and all with 1/1,000,000th the computing power of a cell phone, they've been able to send astronauts to orbit and land on the surface of the moon, a distance that is 1,000 times farther than they can achieve with human spaceflight today. To buy into your conspiracy theory about this, that it never happened, the sheer volume of people who must have signed up to this conspiracy, right, is overwhelming.
So, look, this angle is true, right? You can say this for moon landing denial, and you can say this 1,000-fold for flat Earth, but it's not a good argument to go with because all they have to do is go, that's how powerful the conspiracy is. It's all the way to the top, and the evil lizard people, blah, 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 Illuminati, blah, blah, blah. And it just kind of ends that. Right. I mean, it is correct to bring up this angle. It's just not it's much more convincing to nail him on the technical shit about everything he lies about. Like what was that quote right there? What was it? It was on the first try. It was on the 11th try, you fucking idiot, with 1/1000th the computing power, blah, blah, blah. The computing power is in mission control, not on the fucking shuttle, right? They don't need a lot of computing power, and it was all analog anyway. and then a thousandth a thousand times the distance of blah blah blah. Yeah, why the fuck would a shuttle go halfway to the moon and back? It doesn't make any sense, right? You're either going to orbit or you're going to the moon. There's no in between. So it's better to deconstruct all that rhetoric and then point out all of his lies about the shadows on the lunar surface and Van Allen belts and all that shit. It's better to deconstruct all that stuff, but that's very, very technical. Almost certainly way too technical for Piers' audience. So he's going with this. That's fine.
Why has none of them?
That's not true.
Why have none of the people that were part of the lie? Why have none of them broken ranks to say this was all faked?
Bart says they did, right? In all of my stories, when I interview the mother of the blah 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 in the CIA, and she said that that thing was there, and they killed Gus Grissom. The CIA was it's all unverifiable anecdotes, right? That's all. So he can say, yes, that did happen. I have stories that I made up that prove all of this, right? But it's all anecdotal, obviously.
Well, first of all, you're incorrect. I spoke to Eugene Kranz, flight director. He said that someone in the command center cannot tell the difference between a, quote, rehearsal flight and a, quote, a real flight. Just because there's 400,000 bank tellers at Bank of America, what a bank teller knows about corruption in the bank and what the CEO knows are completely different. There's only 3 eyewitnesses to every program. And who knows where they're really going. The fact is, we did have someone come forward. 2 people came forward. Betty Grissom, the widow of the man who was going to be the first man to walk on the moon. I interviewed her for 4 hours before she died. I bet Brian did not do that. She told me that her husband called her on January 26, 1967 from NASA and said, hon, for some strange reason, the CIA is over the launch pad today inspecting the equipment. I've been here 8 years, never seen them.
Got any recording of her saying that? Or is this just a story? It's always just stories. It's Bart saying somebody said a thing. Every fucking time. Every time. And Gus Grissom, that was Apollo 1. I don't think he was in line. They weren't planning the lunar surface landing at that time. It was Apollo 1. All right, man, this is ridiculous.
Before,
That never
why
happened,
did they show up today?
That never happened.
The very
that
next
never
day.
happened. Even your own testimony
So I
says that
guess
she didn't.
Betty
She never
Grissom's
said
a
that.
liar.
Well,
Guess
allow,
who's a liar?
allow Brian
You
to
know?
respond to that, please. Brian.
She never
Well, I
said
haven't
that. She
finished
said,
speaking. He interrupted me. Allow me to
Bart, I
finish.
want to
just
do
made
you a
a claim
favor,
about
Bart.
the
Bart,
CIA,
I want to do you a favor. I think what you do is important. I think, as I said originally, I think it's important
You're
to
doing me a
question things.
favor?
Certainly, the government
Am I
lies to us.
interrupting
Certainly.
you? Oh, thank you so much.
Hold on one second. But what Betty Grissom said, she said they were all over. The CIA was in the Mission Command Center. She never said that. If you go back and look at your own transcripts, she didn't say they were on the launch pad. No one had access to the launch pad because it was full of rocket fuel, so they wouldn't even let the technicians near it, as you know. But Bart, I think you have much stronger evidence, and I don't know why you're leading with the things that are most easily deflated. I'd love to talk about what you claim
Wait
is
a
the most
minute.
strong evidence, so we could
Did
tell
you interview
people.
Betty Grissom for 4 hours before she died?
Did you say?
Yes
but
or no?
I've read your transcripts. I've read transcripts by you and by her.
But
And from
I'm
other
asking you
interviews.
if you
She
interviewed
never.
her for
She
4
did say
hours
that they were
before she
CIA.
died.
She never said they were crawling
what
over the
she
launch
said.
pad. And does that?
But it's not what she said. You're lying. And that's why you're flailing right now, and you're trying to talk over him to prevent him from. So Brian has this thing he's doing. He's like, "But you have much better evidence. You have better evidence. Can we please talk about the shadows on the lunar surface?" Right? He's baiting him into bringing up something that can be empirically disproven. Right? It's Brian doesn't want to talk about his unverifiable anecdotes beyond. Pointing out that he's lying about what she said, right? He read the transcripts and she didn't say that. So yeah, this is fun.
You know,
Prove that the moon
you
landings
weren't
didn't
even
happen,
alive
Bart?
at the time. That's what she told me in a
All right,
4-hour interview.
let me ask you,
And
Bart.
I'm not
Bart,
doubting that
Bart,
she-
Bart, let me ask you. What is the most convincing piece of evidence you have that it was faked?
Well, I have the crew of Apollo 11 faking being halfway to the moon using a 1-foot model of the Earth. And I have the CIA on a 3rd track of audio telling them to fake a 4-second radio delay from Earth orbit. And then we have the eyewitness testimony of a deathbed confession of Cyrus Eugene Akers, who
Straight to another anecdote, right? It's every fucking time, man. He just can't do it. He just can't. I mean, he tries, right? We talked about this for 20 minutes in I think both of the videos on him. It's just footage of them taking pictures of the Earth on route to the moon. That's it. It's literally just that. And he just makes up a bunch of shit. And then we also showed how he doctored that audio where, it's somebody from the CIA saying talk. Yeah. It's just a bunch. I mean, yeah, we're not going to reiterate everything. Go check out those two videos if you missed them.
Saw them film it at Cannon Air Force Base in 1968. He even confessed to killing somebody to cover it up because the NSA asked him to do so. That's a strange thing to be saying.
You've also
right?
claimed, I'll come to you, Brian, in a second, but you've also claimed, you described what you call as anomalous shadows that are not parallel, suggesting multiple artificial light sources in a studio rather than a single distant sun. So these photographs that we're looking at now, you think are indicative of fakery?
Okay, so real quick, so I think this is what Bart was trying to avoid because he got ruined on this on the Danny Jones podcast as we covered, and we've talked about this quite a bit as well. So we'll see how Bart tries to. He's probably going to try to dodge this and change the subject, and we'll see what Brian has queued up to demolish him. But once again, the picture on the left is taken from the side of both of those. If you were in between the poles, you would see that they converge, right? When you have it's like railroad tracks appear to converge in the distance, right? They don't. They're parallel. It's a fucking optical effect. So he very deliberately took that picture to the side of both of them to make it look a certain way. And then the one on the right, he uses every single time this one because that rock has kind of a special shape where it's narrower at the base and then is more elongated to one side as it goes up. So the shadow appears to be more lateral than it is, but it's not. It's nowhere near 90 degrees. He calls it 90 degrees. Not even the arrows he superimposed on there are 90 degrees, and those are not pointing at the direction of the shadow. They're converging. If you had one local source behind you, they would be diverging, and if you had multiple lights to get shadows in different directions, each object would have multiple shadows. So we talked about this for like 15, 20 minutes. This was utterly eviscerated. He has absolutely nothing. This is one of the easiest ways to prove Bart wrong, is to demonstrate that not just this, but every single image, the entire lunar surface is evenly lit. There are no multiple shadows. It is absolutely impossible to do that in any kind of soundstage. That is definitely all of it is lit by the sun. And it's not just images. There's footage. There's footage too. You've got the lunar rover driving around. Another thing that proves that they were on the moon is just the ballistics of the dust that's getting kicked up by the wheels and stuff. The parabolic arc and the way it falls. It is absolutely. It cannot be done on anything other than 1/6 Earth's gravity with no atmosphere. Right? It's a near vacuum. Just all of the lunar footage and images and everything cannot be faked. It just can't. That shit proves that they went to the moon. And so that's why he only shows this one image every single time, because that rock is just a little bit funny, and the shadow appears to converge more than it would if it was like a cube or something like that. It's unique to the shape of the rock. So let's see if they can shit on this a little bit.
Well, let me also say I went from being the biggest fan, greater fan than Brian. I had a shrine of Apollo pictures in my house for decades. And a filmmaker's job is to make fake scenes look real. Go back to the picture and look how shadows should be in sunlight. The sun, it's 1 million times bigger than the Earth in volume. It's 93 million miles away. It's going to cast shadows in the same direction on the Earth or the moon. There's 2 telephone poles about 5 feet apart. The shadows are parallel. Here's a picture that claim was taken on the moon.
That motherfucker just said parallel, just like David Weiss. And they look the same. I think they must be. They must go to the same country club or something. Parallel. Yeah. Okay. Yeah, we've debunked this, Bart. We've debunked this to high heaven.
Of objects 5 feet apart. The astronaut shadows at 12 o'clock, the rock 5 feet away, the shadows at 9 o'clock. That can only happen with the close electrical light. We just proved with one photograph that they faked the moon landing despite.
So you're going with one. So when you were on Danny Jones and you got bodied with the very obvious demonstration that a local light source immediately behind him would cause diverging shadows, then you retreated to the multiple lights angle, which also does not work. There would be multiple shadows. If you tried to comp the image together, the gradient of the shading would not line up. So on Danny Jones, you were going with the multiple lights. Now you're going with the single light source behind. Doesn't make any sense. The shadows would diverge. You can only trick people with zero spatial reasoning with this angle, Bart.
What anybody says, despite what the corrupt federal government says, that picture cannot be duplicated in sunlight. It can only be duplicated with electrical light, which means they're on Earth, which means they didn't go to the moon.
Okay,
I'm sorry to bring you the bad news.
No, that's your claim. Brian Keating, your response.
Well, I want to treat Bart as a colleague, maybe not as an equal, but I want to treat him fairly. And I want to say, Bart, you have much better evidence that I've heard you talk about
I'm not an
with
equal.
our
Oh my goodness.
Well, I don't think you're a trained scientist, Bart. I mean, if I go to my Wikipedia
Well, I don't think
page,
you're a trained cinematographer either.
That's right.
With 100%
when I go to my Wikipedia page, it says
electrical light.
Okay, Bart, when I go to my Wikipedia page, people can see that I'm listed as a professor of astrophysics with 40 years of experience. When they go to your page, it says conspiracy theorist. So I don't want to say that we're equal because we're not. We're not in the same league. I will treat you like a peer. I will give you an expert review of what you're talking about. But what I want to tell you very clearly,
Bart, is being deceived. Your league is parroting back what you're told.
I want to use your own words. I want to treat you seriously, Bart. I want to say that you have talked to Candace Owens on her podcast, and you described what she later called the firmament, the asteroid belt, and then later the Van Allen belts. This is one key piece of qualitative but quantitative evidence that you have presented, which I think deserves attention. You've acclaimed the Van Allen belts are deadly and they are not survivable, and NASA knew that themselves, correct?
Okay, yeah, just Brian, you're supposed to debunk this shadow shit, right? All you had to do was point out on the left, he's conveniently to the side of them. If he was in between them, he would see them converge. I'm not going to repeat myself. You were supposed to say all that shit that I just said. Okay, let's move on to the Van Allen belts or whatever this part is. I guess that's fine.
Incorrect, Bart.
Well, show the clip. What clip number is it here, right? Let's hear it in NASA's own mouth.
We've got the clip. Hang on. We've got the clip. Let's play the clip. So the Van Allen radiation belts, you've argued the radiation surrounding Earth is so extreme, it would have been lethal for any human to pass through, making the journey impossible. So let's take a look at the clip.
Van Allen said so.
Let's take a look at it. We're going to play the clip.
Okay.
My name is Kelly Smith, and I work on navigation and guidance for Orion. We are
every fucking time with this clip, this same clip, and he can't just play the one from the actual footage. He has to play this Sibrel.com. I'm surprised he hasn't plugged his website 18 times already in the first 10 minutes. Okay, let's watch this clip for the 5th time.
We're headed 3,600 miles above Earth, 15 times higher from the planet than the International Space Station. As we get further away from Earth, we'll pass through the Van Allen belts, an area of dangerous radiation. Radiation like this could harm the guidance systems, onboard computers, or other electronics on Orion. Naturally, we have to pass through this danger zone twice.
See, every time he says it himself, it can harm the electronics. Right? For the Apollo missions, all that shit was analog. Now we have digital equipment in the Orion spacecraft. Totally different equipment, right? Totally different situation. So they have to ensure that it's not going to get damaged by the radiation. He doesn't say it's going to murder all the people, right? So Bart has to do this thing where he puts he superimposes his own text. He puts deadly in parentheses. He added that. That's not what the guy said. And I mean, he has no idea what the Van Allen belts are. He has no idea what radiation comprises them. He continually treats it like X-rays. It's not fucking X-rays. It's not made of photons. It's high energy protons, which are massive. They can be stopped. They have very low penetrating power. They can be stopped by a piece of paper. So they sure as shit can be stopped. The vast majority of those protons can be stopped by aluminum foil. So they are protected. They were protected during the Apollo missions, and they're much more protected now during the Orion missions. It's a larger craft. I imagine it has thicker walls. I'm not entirely sure, but we'll see. So that's it. Let's just gonna spew his script again, the one that failed miserably on Danny Jones, and see if he has any better luck here.
Once up and once back. We must solve these challenges before we send people through this region of space. We must solve these challenges before we send people through this region of space. We must solve these challenges.
So that's your claim, Bart. Professor Keating, what's your response to that?
Well, it's not my claim. It's NASA's claim. He said we must solve these challenges before we send people through this region of space, meaning the radiation challenges.
In the Orion spacecraft. In the Orion spacecraft.
Very carefully. He doesn't say because we've never done it before.
Yet.
He never
says Professor Keating respond to it.
Do you interrupt because I'm not in the same league as you? And
shut the fuck up, dude. You just got to play your dumb clip, and now Brian's gonna ruin you. Just let him do it. Just shut up and let him do it.
You're better than me. That you
no,
don't
we just
let me
played. We just played an extended clip that you produced about a certain theory. So Professor Keating will now respond.
Right. So a whiteboard sketch by some NASA engineer who is, to my knowledge, not sketching the exact schematics of the trajectory. He shows and he describes the Van Allen belts are deadly. And you're right, Bart, they are deadly. And NASA knew that because who did Van Allen work for? John Van Allen worked for NASA. So in order for us to believe it, and he testified that the Van Allen belts, if traversed safely, were no threat to the astronauts beyond getting a few chest x-rays, which you and I probably do every year, right? So I have a model of the Van Allen belts here. Here's a plasma globe, which has electron plasma in it.
I thought you bought that at
30,000. Hold on, Bart, please. Now you're not letting me present scientific evidence, okay? There are electrons in here that are at 30,000 degrees Kelvin, far hotter than the temperature of the melting point of aluminum, which you talk about in that documentary, which I've seen many times to debunk it. Inside of this plasma globe, the reason I don't get melted is because the electron density is tiny. It is anisotropic. If you go at different regions through the Van Allen belts, it's completely safe. And one last thing that NASA engineer mentioned, he said it could be dangerous to the navigation systems, the electronics, correct? That means that, according to you, we never even sent electronics, telemetry, anything through the Van Allen belts. But you know who else agrees that we did? The Soviets. Our arch nemesis, Piers, you may not know this. The same day that we landed on the moon, the Russians had a probe that they were trying to return samples from the moon, like this moon rock that I have here, and they were trying to return it to Earth to beat us. And they ended up crashing that spacecraft on July 21st, 1969. They failed to reach it, but they agreed to coordinate with NASA so they didn't hit the Apollo lander because they agreed that would be a much worse thing. Now, Piers, can you imagine us coordinating with Ayatollah Khomeini right now? And he's going to congratulate us tomorrow or tonight when the Artemis mission lands. That's what goes around the moon. That's exactly what happened. So the best evidence, Bart, doesn't come from America even. It comes from the Chinese, from the Indians, from the Russians, who are our nemesis at the time, proving that we went there with their own images, data, and scientific evidence. So that's the way we should do things as a scientifically literate society.
Yeah, I mean, look, obviously that is also true. It's just that he has his angle. We're like, oh, they're all of them are blackmailing us, right? Oh, blah blah blah. Like anything that's kind of anecdotal, he has his anecdotal response that makes no sense. But when you go anecdote versus anecdote, those who are entranced by the conspiracy won't be shaken by it, right? You need to do empirical shit. You need to disprove you need to show demonstrations with shadows, like the producer on the Danny Jones podcast, and then also that other video that we played for that part, showing just demolishing the shadows argument with very clear visual demonstrations. That works better. You need to go with that. So with the Van Allen stuff, I mean, like, we need to we have to talk a little bit more about Bart not knowing what is in the Van Allen, what they are, right? What those particles are, the penetrating power. Like, just got to get a little bit more specific. I know it's not. I mean, it's a Piers audience, but as much as you can, you kind of got to go that way. So Bart had to shut up for a second because he was trying to interrupt him over and over again until it became blatantly obvious that that's what he was trying to do. So what's his responance to all that?
And your theory,
well,
Bart, your theory,
quite a bit of facts
hang
for
on.
a scientist. One of the facts you're ignoring is that what is his name, Rotogen Dmitry. He was the former commander of the Soviet equivalent of NASA. He said as soon as he retired, the moon missions were fake. And then I have a friend who works at the Chinese Space Agency. He says that they're blackmailing NASA in exchange for technology that Congress forbid them to receive.
Yeah, for all that technology that didn't bring anyone to the moon, all that garbage technology, they're blackmailing America for access to it in perpetuity for decades and decades. Yeah, you don't have any friend at the Chinese Space Agency. Like, all of this is unverifiable anecdotes. That's it. Some guy said that it was fake. Trust me, bro. That's it. It's his whole angle.
So we have
retroactively to the Soviet Union, which doesn't exist anymore.
He has. Wait a minute. We have the Russian space director saying the moon missions are fake, and we have an employee of the Chinese Space Agency saying they know the missions are fake and are being blackmailed by the United States.
And your theory, Bart, about motivation, your argument is that they were faked to ensure a Cold War victory for the US over the Soviet Union. You contend that NASA was under immense pressure to fulfill President Kennedy's goal of landing a man on the moon by the end of the 60s, but they lacked the ability technologically to do it.
What would be the Cold War victory if the USSR knew that we didn't land there? Fucking wrap your head around that. Brian is right. Like, everything was there's no way for a shuttle to go up into orbit and then just kind of like hang out in orbit and say, oh yeah, we're going to the moon, totally, but don't look at us, right? Everything can be tracked, right? The Soviets were tracking the lunar module. From Earth, we're tracking every motion of the lunar module. They can see what's going on from here. So you better fucking believe that anybody can just look up and, I mean, not with eyeballs, but I'm saying so many organizations and institutions could be tracking a spacecraft that lied about going to the moon and just stayed in Earth orbit. Because where is Bart pretending that it went? It just hung out there in orbit for for 5-6 days and then came down. It doesn't make any goddamn sense. All of this shit, right? Russia was the USSR was tracking it while it was happening, and then many other countries in subsequent unmanned missions got footage of the lunar surface and saw all of everything that we'd left from all the various landing sites. There's images of it from China, Korea, I think, a bunch of other ones, India, I think, as well. So it's just none of it makes sense when you actually fucking think about it. When you actually sit down and think about it, right? Every single angle. They're blackmailing us for the technology that doesn't work because we didn't go to the moon. They wanted to win the Cold War, but the Soviets knew that we didn't go. And so how the fuck are we winning the Cold War? Like, none of it works, man. None of it.
According to you, the risk of high-profile failure and subsequent national humiliation led the US government and the CIA to stage the events in a studio instead, to which my obvious question would be, look, full disclosure, I don't believe a word of it. However, let's just assume for a moment your theory is correct. Which studio? Where? Where did they do this?
Well, I guess you weren't paying attention when I said they filmed it at Cannon Air Force Base, June 1st, 2nd, and 3rd of 1968, according to an eyewitness who confessed to killing a coworker to cover up the moon landing fraud.
But hang on, sorry, I did hear what you said, but there were a number of lunar landings. So you're saying it was all done in this one studio?
Well, no, we know that the first one, the TV images, were filmed at Cannon Air Force Base, according to an eyewitness who confessed to a homicide that was investigated by the military police, the United States Senate Intelligence Committee, and the FBI. And when they investigated, they asked him, why did he kill this coworker? at Cannon Air Force Base in 1968. He said to cover up the moon landing fraud, he took an oath by the NSA for secrecy. His coworker was going to tell the public, and he killed him to keep it a secret. And back to whether the radiation belts are lethal or not, don't take...
Hey, and he's dodging, he's changing the subject again, because Piers just said they landed 6 fucking times. So how many, they did, every single time they did this? Why would they do it 6 times, by the way? Why would they tempt fate and keep doing it? And so where did the other 5 happen? But it's okay. Bart has a story. Bart has a story. So now shut up and let's move on. Go back to the radiation belts. This isn't going well. So let's go to something else that also won't go well.
Take my opinion. Don't take Brian's opinion. Go to Sibrel.com and read Van Allen's opinion. His document that...
It took 20 minutes. It took 20 full minutes for him to plug his website. That is a huge improvement for Bart. I think in the Danny Jones one and the Rogan one, he must have dropped it, the Rogan one especially, he dropped it like a fucking 100 times in that episode. I'm not exaggerating.
That he published after sending probes up into the radiation belts in 1958, Scientific American article, and he says they are 250 times a lethal dose. So...
that is a probe. That is okay, first of all, so that is an unshielded probe, right? When you're inside the spacecraft, the walls of the spacecraft, which he's pretending do not shield the astronauts when they do. And also, the space shuttle took, so that's like the thickest part, or the highest radiation part of the belts. So they don't hit those. The space shuttles don't go through those because they don't have to. They just go, they just kind of skim part of it. They're only in there for about an hour. It's not very dangerous. It just isn't. So does he mention that these measurements are for the unshielded probe versus astronauts inside a spacecraft? No, of course not. Why would he mention that? That would demolish everything he's saying because he's a fraud.
When they say
that is depending on how you go through it, Bart. If you go through a rainstorm through the eye of a hurricane, it's much different than going through the outer outskirts of it, where it's a nice light London fog. Perhaps it's very different.
Well,
their Van Allen belts are highly anisotropic. Bart, I want to teach you some physics. Bart, if you would let me teach you some physics, then you can make your argument stronger. Perhaps. Okay. There's multiple Van Allen belts. There's an inner Van Allen belt. There's an outer Van Allen belt.
Teach me, Professor, who parrots
Bart,
back.
I've heard you refuse to debate me. Bart, this is my only chance to debate you. You refuse to debate me on Joe Rogan. You refuse to debate me on Lex Friedman.
I never received an invitation to debate you.
Yes, you said you received the invitation on Danny Jones's podcast, and you said you don't want to debate me because I'm a victim, much like pedophilia victims. It was so bizarre. So I want to take my opportunity.
He asked me if I wanted to debate.
Just steamroll him, Brian. Just steamroll him. Tell him to shut the fuck up and say what you were going to say about the trajectory through the belts. This guy is flailing. It is absolutely hilarious. This is it's pretty fun to watch. It's bittersweet because it's fucking Brian doing it. But of the two of them, I'm going to side with Brian, obviously.
You and I said no because you're a victim. You have Stockholm syndrome. You're defending the people who are deceiving you. You're not the perpetrator of the
Russians, did the Politburo that testified.
Such a patronizing piece of shit. You're a victim. You're parroting. You couldn't pass a fucking middle school physics quiz, right? Having scientific knowledge, possessing real scientific knowledge isn't parroting anything. That's what science illiterate cult leaders say to convince people that real knowledge isn't worth anything. Right? All of this is verifiable, repeatable, empirical knowledge that you can use to make predictions, right? You can say, we've gathered all of this information about the Van Allen belts, so this is the trajectory we should take. It is the trajectory that they do take. He doesn't know what the trajectory is. He doesn't even know what radiation is. I guarantee you, if you said, Bart, what's radiation? He'd go, Gus Grissom's widow said blah, blah, blah. He would change the subject immediately. He's fucking stupid.
I'd say congratulations to
you're so
President Nixon.
Confident what happened on the moon.
Wait, why did the Russians? Bart,
do you mind if I just cut to the quick here? Do you think you're just full of shit, mate?
What's that?
Do you think you're just full of shit?
No, I don't think he does.
Is it all just a scam, just to make money, raise your profile?
Well,
just
I mean, come on.
spewing such obvious bullshit around the.
It is, of course, Piers. It is. He lies about the moon landing for money. We all know that, but and it's funny. It's funny to chuckle about it, but we just, when you're here with him, you have to fucking nail him to the ground. You have to just, like, you can't let him keep. You got to hit him with the fireworks here. You know, you got him here. It's very rare that this guy is going to show his face with people who know what they're talking about. He's squirming around. He's gish galloping. He's doing everything. You have to nail him down and not let him squirm away. So this isn't helping. It's funny, but it's like, this is a rare opportunity. I bet he will not show his face in this kind of a setting maybe ever again after this. I mean, well, who knows? I mean, he's, you know, the money runs dry. He's got to make some public appearances, but just come on, guys, a little more.
The world about something that everyone knows happened.
Well,
and you've made yourself well-known, notorious.
Let me boil it down for you. I'm going to answer your question.
You've insulted Buzz Aldrin to the point he punched you.
I'm sorry if the truth about corruption is insulting to people who are flattered by it in a fallen world. The fact is, JFK's relatives say with 100% certainty he was killed by the CIA. Robert McNamara, on his deathbed, said they started the Vietnam War and killed 58,220 of their own people on a CIA fabrication. So they're killing tens of thousands of their own people.
So presumably,
they're killing their own president.
Yeah, we know all that shit, man. We know all that shit. Gulf of Tonkin, I mean, JFK, I don't know. I have no idea. Gulf of Tonkin is not a secret. We all know this, and we all know the government lies all the time and murders people all the time. It doesn't make the moon landing fake. It's not an argument. It's a complete non-starter, and this is all you have is this bullshit, because you know that you cannot talk about the radiation belts. You cannot talk about the shadows on the moon. You cannot actually discuss anything empirical. You have to go towards this manipulative, emotionally manipulative rhetoric and conspiratorial rhetoric. Government do bad things, so anything I say, it must be true because that's it. That's all you've got.
Wait a minute. So they're not going to have a problem faking a TV image.
Okay.
The only problem is that it's a positive lie.
Okay, but just to be clear then, to extrapolate your theory, given this is the furthest that NASA have ever sent a rocket to the dark side of the moon, presumably you think this must be fake too.
Oh, no, I hope they are able to do it. The issue is, how
do you believe the Artemis rocket
20%?
is going to be a genuine mission or a fake?
Does it have to go through the Van Allen belt?
I would assume it's going to be genuine.
But how does it get through the Van Allen belt?
Why is it? Listen, the issue is...
Hang on. No, how does it get through? How does it get through the Van Allen radiation belt?
I got two people not letting me finish the sentence.
How does it get through?
The fucking cry bully shit, right? Every time these guys, they just want to bully everyone, and the moment anyone pushes back, this is what I deal with trolls in my comment section and everything, and all over the internet. This toxicity all over the internet. They just want to lie and cheat and bully, and the moment they get that energy back, they just fucking crumble. Why won't anyone let me talk? You're all just talking over me, and you're interrupting me. You're so mean, and why can't I blah blah blah? It's fucking pathetic. It's revolting. It's revolting to watch. And I'm really glad to see a larger portion of the internet recognize this behavior and show zero fucking tolerance for it. I wish these two would push back on it a little more and even expose the tactic right now, but this is all he's got. He can interrupt anytime he wants. He gets to talk, and then Brian tries to rebut, and he's just talking the whole fucking time. But anytime that Piers is like, okay, Brian's turn to talk, well, you guys won't let me talk, blah, blah, blah. It's so fucking ridiculous, man. What a weasel. This guy's such a little weasel.
The issue is
that is the issue.
Why is it with 6 decades of better technology,
so
they can
now
only
they
do
can do
20% of what Apollo did?
Now they can do it.
That's illogical.
So do you accept? But do you accept now that space rockets can get through the Van Allen radiation belt?
Unmanned ones, and maybe they have protection. We know they didn't have protection as of 2014. He said we must solve these radiation challenges before we send people through this region of space, which means anything prior to 2014 did not leave Earth orbit. He said so himself.
Okay.
I'm sorry. So,
the
Bart,
fact
do you
that
think
they're on-
Elon
the fact
Musk?
this is
Bart,
a
do you think
man-
Elon Musk
the
is in?
fact this-
Bart, do you think Elon Musk is deceiving himself?
well, he knows the moon missions are fake. He's playing ball. He didn't want to bite the hand that feeds him.
So he's all part of the conspiracy, is he?
It's not a conspiracy. It's simply they perpetrated a fraud. They did a counterfeit. They cheated. Elon Musk says to return to the moon, they're going to need 15 fuel launches first. I got a clip here.
Yeah, Elon doesn't want to bite the hand that feeds him. That's why when he had a falling out with Trump, he went on, Trump's in the Epstein files, boom. Like, Elon he says whatever the fuck, he's a lunatic. He'll say anything. You think that Elon would go along with this instead of being this like wild card full of bravado, Wild West gunslinger that he thinks he is? You think he wouldn't talk about this shit? It's fucking ridiculous. Yeah.
Number 5, a guy who works for NASA says it's going to take 30 launches of fuel in order to have
Musk is
enough
wrong.
fuel to go to the moon. So how did
Musk is not wrong. He's just talking about a completely fucking different spacecraft. A gigantic spacecraft. A way, way, way bigger spacecraft that will not split apart into different modules and have a little lunar module go to... The whole fucking rocket has to go over there and land and then take off again. It's a completely different fucking rocket, you disingenuous piece of shit.
Apollo do it with 1/30th the amount of fuel? I mean, the truth is right there in front of you.
Final word
6
to
decades
Professor.
better technology, and they can only do 20% of what they claim to did with 1 million.
Okay, Professor Keating.
Can't even land.
Professor Keating, final word to you about the Artemis 2 mission.
Well, I just want to say, first of all, to fake the moon landings would have been much more cost prohibitive, difficult, and involve a much larger conspiracy than actually doing them. We have evidence from around the world, where scientists are the most likely people to want to shoot out experts, Bart. This is where I feel like you're not taking advantage of me as a collegial, engagement, because we're the most interested in proving things wrong. That's what we do for a living, Bart. But on the topic of science, what Artemis is going to do, Piers, is perhaps pave the way for us to extend our consciousness, our civilization into the solar system, into the universe beyond. Because what happens if a large meteorite, a huge asteroid impacts the Earth, God forbid, or a global pandemic happens again? And all those reasons, by the way, are reasons that Bart should support the mission of NASA, which has provided such a great deal of technology that has enabled him, if he's ever been on a commercial airliner. I used to work for NASA working on aviation safety. NASA does a whole lot more than just landing on the moon, as amazing as that is. And they do it all, Piers, for a budget that's equal to what women in America spend on makeup, about $20 to $25 billion. Most people think it's 10 times higher. It's very low amount of money. We're going to go there. We're going to build telescopes. We're going to explore habitation there. We're going to build rockets because the moon is full of ice and its craters that are shadowed. The ice is hydrogen and oxygen.
I think it's going to be great, and I love all this stuff.
I was like, I got a toy. Oh no, it's too late for my toy. It's too late for my toy. Also, slightly misogynistic there with the makeup thing. I don't know. Whatever. Not really. It's fine. But yeah, Brian is scrambling to try to say a bunch of shit because he couldn't get it in during that interaction. I'm a little bit disappointed, but let's finish this here.
And I think the answer to the whole thing is that when they actually send people to walk on the moon again, they should send Bart up there. Bart,
Yes.
you should get on the rocket.
Let's do a debate there, Bart.
Yeah, and we can continue the debate on the surface of the moon. And then Bart, my opening line would be, see, told you. Got to leave it there. Thank you all very much.
Yep.
Bart, thank you.
So it just unfortunately, like, if someone's watching this who's in Bart's camp, they're just seeing Piers being smug, which is fine. He should be smug. Bart is a douchebag, and I would be smug to him as well. But what I also would do is debunk every dumb thing out of his mouth conclusively, repeatedly, aggressively to his face. We really didn't get almost anything. I am struggling to remember I'm struggling to remember a single thing, a single instance in which Brian really conclusively debunked something that Bart said. I think that a few times he pointed out a discrepancy between the claim. Like he was like, he didn't mention that the Van Allen probe was unshielded, but he did say you're being disingenuous about the trajectory of this shuttle, right? So there was a handful of those moments, but they were few and far between and too quiet. You gotta pummel these guys and not let them get away. You have to force them to respond to what you're saying and not change the subject. So that I'm being honest. If I'm being honest, that was worse than I thought it would be. I thought that Brian would be able to beat him up a little bit, and we did not get that. So that sucked. Let's see what else we have going here.
Thank you.
Professor Keating, thank you very much.
Thank you, Piers. Thank you, Bart.
Well, let's turn now to two men who most certainly know fact from fiction when it comes to space travel. Charlie Duke is an Apollo astronaut, the 10th and youngest man to walk on the surface of the moon. And legendary actor and part-time astronaut William Shatner, sometimes known as Captain Kirk of the USS Enterprise, particularly by men of my generation who were weaned on that.
I like how they were probably like, hey, Charlie, do you want to talk to this douchebag Bart again? And he's like, no, thanks. I'm super old. Don't make me go through that again. That was torture the first time. Poor Charlie.
That glorious character. Welcome to both of you. Charlie Duke, what an amazing thing to have walked on the moon. We've got some footage of you, which I'll just show my viewers to remind them of your great moment. Let's have a look at this.
Hey, John, while you're sampling there, you might look around and see if you see any vesicular basalt.
That's what I'm looking for.
Good show. I told him you were.
Whoop. Okay.
We see that one went all the way in.
Not quite.
Now, my first thought watching that, Charlie, was like...
As an aside, too, just, like, how fucking cool would it be to walk on the moon? I want to walk on the moon so bad, and it's definitely not going to happen. It's just really, really, really very, very, very slim chance. I mean, it would have to be... I'm 42. Let's say in 25 years, I'll be 67 if I still... would have it in me to, like, what will commercial space travel, like, assuming there's any at all, I think definitely there'll be kind of like go up to orbit and back, but there's just no way that there's going to be any access for commercial space travel to the lunar surface in that short time, in that short of a time span, and if by some miracle there is, it'll be like a fucking $10 million ticket that I can't afford. So I just have to accept that I will never walk on the moon or any other body of the solar system. But God damn it, I want to so bad. It would be so cool to walk on the moon. Oh, man.
A couple of months ago, I tripped and broke my hip. And if I'd been in an airless environment like that, I probably would have escaped without injury. So I'm very jealous of the fact that you were falling over there in such conditions. But to be serious for a moment, you were 36 when you walked on the moon, the youngest to do it at the time, and it's 1972. Just a basic question, what was it like?
Well, it was one of the most exciting adventures that I've ever had in my life, of course. We enjoyed every moment of it. We had 3 excursions out on the surface. We had a tremendous opportunity to explore the lunar highlands for 3 days, and John and I didn't want to come home. We were having so much fun, but they said, get back inside, guys. It's time to come back. So anyway, we did a great job, I thought. Corrected 200 pounds of moon rocks and did a lot of good experiments and left a lot of experiments up there to operate. So it was a tremendous opportunity for us.
You also had another extraordinary role in the first lunar landing when you famously responded to Neil Armstrong saying the Eagle has landed with the words, Roger, twang, tranquility. We copy you on the ground. You've got a bunch of guys about to turn blue. We're breathing again. Thanks a lot, which was fantastic.
Yeah. I was so excited that Tranquility came out twang at first, and so I corrected myself. Neil had told me that he was changing the call sign to Tranquility from Apollo 11 or whatever it was, Eagle. And so I was prepared for it, but it was so exciting a moment there. You know, we landed with maybe 20 seconds fuel remaining. And so there was a lot of tension, and when Neil said, Buzz said contact, engine stop, and we're there on the ground, it was just excitement got me, and twang came out instead of Tranquility.
William Shatner, welcome back to Uncensored. Always great to talk to
Thank
you. You obviously went to space recently, and you were very emotional, I remember, about the experience, understandably. How much would you have liked to have walked on the moon like Charlie, and how envious are you of this latest mission, which is the precursor potentially to people doing it again?
Well, these guys, like test pilots and explorers and people who venture out into essentially the unknown, enjoy it like it's a thrill. Like, I mean, falling, like you described, you fell on the Earth and you had difficulty, you broke your hip. He falls on the moon, and there's nobody there to help him up.
Right.
And he's got a pack on his back. It's awkward. He's alone.
Yeah.
These explorers, these test pilots, these astronauts, they get off on the adventure. We ordinary people have to imagine what it's like to see flame going past your window, wondering whether the shields are going to hold or not, whether 20 seconds of fuel is enough to get back up. And there's this whole exploration mentality that requires, I mean, it's insanity, really, to want to do that. And they're insane in a great way.
Yeah, it's very courageous. I mean, I do think sometimes, like, you know, Apollo 13 is obviously a great movie, and how terrifying that must have been for Lovell and the crew, just to wonder, you know, all those different variables, like when they were coming back, they could potentially just kind of skip off Earth's atmosphere and then just end up plummeting towards the sun. I mean, they would die before they got to the sun. But can you imagine just asphyxiating in the command module slowly? That'd be terrifying. Or if something happens on the moon and you fall and you smash your helmet on a rock and just die that way. Or in the movie Gravity, when Sandra Bullock it gets hit and then she's kind of like tumbling backwards and they have to go get her. But can you imagine just like that's how you die, is you're just in that tumble, and there's no way to exert any kind of force to correct the tumble. You're locked into that tumble, and you just drift away from the Earth until you die. And that is what happened to George Clooney's character, right? I think he just sort of drifted until he ran out of air. I mean, it's utterly terrifying. So don't sign me up for that, but sign me up for the thing when they've been doing it for a while for, you know, in a commercial way. And I don't want to be the first one for that either, but I'll be like number 50 or something. But like I said, it's just, there's no way. There's no way that's going to happen. My kids, maybe. My kids, when they're middle-aged, that's possible. That could happen. Man, I'd like to see that. Man, this got me wistful here.
For furthering us. But these people going up in Artemis, they're in the same tentative position. They don't know whether that shield is going to hold. They don't know whether the hydrogen is going to explode. And when I went up, and on my way up the gantry, I passed by the off-gassing. I said, "What's that?" They said, "It's hydrogen." I said, "Hydrogen? That's one of the most explosive, elusive gases we have." They're dealing with the unknown. They're dealing with exploration. They're dealing with death. Have they come to grips with what death is? What's on the other side? All those enormous questions
Death. Shatner.
Are I don't know whether there's the astronauts are sitting in the Artemis thing right now, but you can imagine them leaning back, looking up into the sky, waiting for this explosion under them, wondering whether they're going to live or die and see their children and their loved ones again.
I feel exactly the same way. I just want to show viewers a clip of you in space, because it was great. Let's take a look at this.
God.
Weightlessness. Oh, Jesus. No description can equal this. Wait.
This is nuts!
Oh.
I think there's an outside chance I'll get to do one of these, right? It has to get 50 times more frequent and common and like 50 times cheaper. Because, you know, if this was like 10 grand or something, I would do that. I would shell out 10 grand for that. But it's not. It's way more than that. So, and I don't like, there was, some of you might have saw, I had an application, a video application on my channel for Space for Humanity. It ended up being a total bust. I think it's just some, they were just, you know, drumming up publicity for the organization, but it was like, oh, submit your application and then, you know, we'll pick people and then you'll go up on the thing. And it wasn't like this. I think it was more like balloon based, but you did get up outside of Earth's atmosphere. So, yeah. So, like, we're always kind of on the precipice of this stuff commercially, and it never really fully gets there. But this could happen. This could potentially. I'm holding out for something like this. I think this could happen. If I could just see a large chunk of the Earth from space. You know, not even to low Earth orbit, but just like from this height, I'd be satisfied with that. That'd be something. It'd be something. It's not going to, you know, another star system and exploring exoplanets, but it's something, you know.
This is Earth? Holy hell.
An amazing experience, and you, like I said, you got emotional afterwards. But I do remember very vividly. I was born in '65, and I remember watching the original series of Star Trek, which I think there were 3 series, weren't there, of the original television show?
3 years, yeah.
3 years, and you know, it was the mission statement was to boldly go where no man has gone before. And I just remember being struck by, and particularly as now I look back on it, was how kind of multicultural the Starship Enterprise was. You had Mr. Sulu, Chekhov, Uhuru. This was a real visionary thing that you guys were putting on TV.
It was a visionary television, but it reflected what the visionary was happening on Earth. That was the time when things were being built, and the concept of going into space was new and exciting. This Artemis thing, I think is even more precarious than any of the others because there's so many unknowns. These are ships that haven't been flown that way before. There's technology that hasn't been used. There's 4 inexperienced, trained, but inexperienced astronauts. The trepidation on this thing that's happening in our lifetime and in our present day it ranks with Shackleton and Scott and exploration of the South Pole, which I was at, and I sat on a ice cap that was a desert. There was nothing around. There was nothing. Imagine nothing around you. You're forlorn. It's one thing to be stuck in an airport.
We have a man sitting here still, Charlie Duke, who can not only imagine it, he was there. He was on the moon on his own.
I know. So you need to explore that mindset. When he fell over, did he think, I'm going to die?
Well, let's ask him.
And what a way
let
to
me
die.
Let me ask him. Charlie.
Like a turtle.
He's like, Shatner, you've talked a long time, brother. We've got an actual astronaut here. Yeah, you keep talking about him falling over over and over again. Let's chat with Charlie a little bit while he's still alive.
Turtle, like a turtle on his back.
Well, let me ask the man
around,
himself.
Unable to get up.
We can ask him. Charlie, what did you feel when you fell over?
Well, when I fell down, I said, I got to get up. We practiced and practiced and practiced. We'd been in the zero-G airplane. We've done that on bed. I've fallen on my back. I did this. And we'd practiced all of that. And so we were prepared for these unusual eventualities, but it wasn't like it was something that we hadn't thought about.
Yeah,
so
but it's
if we
one
fell
thing.
Down, how do we get up?
It's one
so
thing
we
to
trained
practice
for it.
It's one thing to practice and practice and practice, and somebody says, "Are you okay?" "Yeah, I'm okay. I'm practicing." It's another thing to be forlorn on a planet that there's no way out. You're fallen and you can't get up. I mean, that's just one of the things. 27.
Okay, it's 1/6 Earth's gravity. He just kind of went like this and got back on his feet. I feel like, I mean, it's a funny moment. I feel like we're really, really fixating on Charlie falling over that one time. He was there for like a full day. They did a bunch of cool stuff. Let's talk about something else, man.
Seconds of fuel. You got to get back up there and rendezvous. I mean, the things are extraordinary.
I mean, on that point, Charlie, I mean, it's a great point by Bill. I mean, Charlie, obviously this goes...
Wait a minute, we had...
Well, the question I was going to ask you was, it obviously carries enormous risk, obviously. And this Artemis 2 is the most powerful rocket that NASA have ever fired up, and it's going the furthest distance in terms to the dark side of the moon, literally, that we've sent people in relation to the moon. So this carries with it enormous, obvious jeopardy. How do you, when you were doing this, how do you deal with the potential of not coming back, of just something terrible going wrong?
We never thought about it.
I can't believe that.
We were sitting on the...
I can't believe... Charlie, I can't believe that...
Okay.
That was an astronaut.
We'd never thought about not coming back. We had trained. If you got caught, if it exploded, it exploded. We had an escape system on top of the spacecraft for liftoff if the thing exploded. I mean, NASA had thought about all of those things. You just know that if it was going to happen in some way and the suit split open or you got hit by a meteorite, it just wasn't your day.
Yeah, but
you
Charlie,
weren't going to make it.
You got to remember the Challenger. The Challenger is before us all. Those of us who haven't trained and have your mindset think Challenger and Artemis, and if Artemis fails, what a psychological blow that would be to the space program. I mean, there's so many complex things happening here.
Yeah, I don't like Shatner. Why are you like lecturing Charlie? He went to the fucking moon. I like, he's really worked up. I don't know what this is all about. I mean, he went up on Apollo 16, so 11, 12, 14, and 15 landed before him. So, I mean, yeah, there's risk, right? Of course, something could go wrong, obviously. But it's not like, it was a lot more nerve-wracking for 11 because nobody had ever landed on it before. So they were, the fifth mission to land on the moon. They kind of got it down by then. Something could go wrong. But it's like, I'm not really surprised to hear Charlie say that they didn't, not that it never crossed their mind, but they don't fixate on it, right? Because they've done this a bunch of times, and they're like they have a plan and a strategy for every eventuality, every possibility. So yeah, if you're standing on the lunar surface and you get struck by a micrometeorite right through the visor and all the air leaves and you die, I mean, yeah, okay, but like, why are you? I mean, you could die in a car wreck every day of your life. Anytime you go on the freeway, you could die. We don't think about that. We just don't, like, you could, but why would you? I don't know. Like, why are you here, Shatner? I don't know, man. Like, you're kind of detracting. I wish we were just talking to Charlie, honestly.
Here, to those of us who don't have your ability to deny the potential of death.
Do you remember Apollo 1? Apollo 1 blew up on the pad a training accident. It caught fire. They were killed. Okay?
Yeah, I remember that.
Because of some, all right. But it didn't stop us.
No.
We said, we got to fix this thing. We got to fix it and do it right. And so it took
Charlie,
a year and a half to redesign the spacecraft.
I'm talking about your frame of mind. I mean, the Challenger set back psychologically the space program for a long while. If Artemis fails, what a psychological blow that is. If Artemis is successful, what a glorious thing for the space program and progress to the moon.
Well, let me tell you, if it fails, we're going to try again. We're not going to stop. That is just the attitude of the space program, attitude of the United States of America, and an attitude with the astronauts. We're going to make it successful. It might not be right away, but we're going to make it successful. It's something that we're committed to, and we're going to do it right. If it doesn't work right, then we're going to fix it. And just like we did on Apollo after Apollo 1 caught fire. Just after a couple of others that almost didn't make it back. Apollo 13, mission control and the crews came through and made a spacecraft that was built for 2 guys for 3 days, made it last for 3 guys for 5 days. So, I mean, there's just a way
Charlie,
to
as you're
work at it.
As you're talking, Charlie, all I can think is to Bill Shatner. You know who would be 100% in agreement with everything Charlie is saying? Captain James T. Kirk. He would have exactly the same mindset.
Yeah, can we talk to him instead of this fucking guy?
Because actually, never stop dreaming. You know, boldly go where no one's been before. It's that motivates people. I mean, Charlie, just to ask you, I mean, if we do get back on the moon, what advice would you give for the astronauts who make that next amazing
trip? Drink a lot of water. Drink a lot of water.
Yes. Well, they haven't, the first landings on the moon, whatever Artemis that is, in a couple of years, I hopefully have a chance to be around to give them some advice if they want it. And it's just train, be prepared. That's what we did over and over and over again. It was like doing it in your sleep. We had trained so much. We'd work with mission control. We'd work with the crew. We'd work with the rover. We trained and trained and trained. And so that is the motivation behind the Apollo crews. And what Artemis is, those guys, they're not just going out into the ether with no training.
And Charlie, out of interest,
going to be well prepared.
Out of interest, what do you feel? What do you feel about the conspiracy theorists who think that all the moon landings were all invented? They never happened. They're fake.
Well, the moon landed. The evidence is overwhelming that we landed on the moon. You're willfully ignorant if you don't believe that we landed on the moon 6 times. And the evidence is there. We left experiments packages. There's been every landing site has been photographed by the Lunar Reconnaissance Orbiter. You can see the descent stage. You can see the experiments package. You can see the cars on the last 3 missions, and the experiments have been operating, or they operated for 5 years, and got tons of data. We've got 600 pounds of moon rocks. Where did they come from? They just didn't appear. And we brought them back.
What's the mindset of somebody who says, to these brave individuals and all the taxpayers' money that went to making that happen. What is the mindset of somebody who said, well, it didn't really happen? I mean, that's nihilistic. That's like the denial of humanity. These crazy individuals shouldn't have our attention. It's absurd.
Charlie, do you have any of the moon at home? Did you keep a bit?
No, they gave me a moon rock after 40 years, but I had to give it away. So I gave it to my prep school down in Admiral Farragut Academy. There were 2 moonwalkers graduated from there, me and Alan Shepard.
How amazing.
Alan Shepard first and then me.
That's amazing.
So,
I have a watch with moon dust on it.
Really? Fantastic. I've got a Captain James T. Kirk baseball cap. That's all I can contribute to this debate. Gentlemen, what a fascinating time talking to you. All I can think of looking at both of you, I know your ages. I don't need to repeat them. But I hope I have half the vitality for life and curiosity and excitement about what we don't know as you two guys have. You are an inspiration to all of us mere 61-year-olds. So thank you very much indeed to both of you.
Thank you for having us. It's great. It's great to see you, Charlie. Bye-bye.
I hope I'm still around when we make that first landing in that next wall.
Me too.
That would be
thank you very much for having me.
Charlie and I will walk hand in hand to greet the.
That would be brilliant, wouldn't it? I would love that. Can I come too?
Yeah.
You may.
Thank you.
I told NASA
junior member.
I am still at 90. I'm still physically qualified to go into space.
Really?
But NASA says, "Don't call us. We'll call you." So I'm not expecting a call.
Great to talk to you both. Thank you both very much indeed.
Pleasure. Thank you. Pleasure to see you both.
It's been a pleasure. Thank you, Piers.
Thanks, Charlie. Take care. Piers Morgan Uncensored is proudly independent. The only boss around here is me. If you enjoy our show, we also own...
Okay, that's enough from you, Piers. You young 61-year-old whippersnapper. Yeah, that's fun for him. So, yeah, that was something. That second half was quite different in spirit. Yeah, Shatner's got his moon dust. That's very adorable. But anyway, yeah, so the first bit was honestly worse than I thought. I thought Keating did not really do or say much of anything to ruin Bart, although Bart did humiliate himself a fair amount as well. Was really just kind of smugness, which is justified, but without any of the backing of ruining and cornering that kind of a fraud. So that was disappointing. And then we got Shatner rambling and a couple of anecdotes from Charlie. So, yeah, very interesting. I mean, just the more I learned about the Apollo missions, they really were incredible. It's really astounding that we were able to do that at that time. And it was so magnificent that we're only now kind of taking the next step. We really, it took a long time to get back there. But yeah, everyone is really excited about Artemis 2. I am as well. I think that I will most likely do content mocking some flat earthers and things like that. You know, those kinds of people that are flipping out about Artemis 2. Just kind of letting some of that compile so that I could go find it and watch everyone freaking out and fake, everything's fake because I say so. End of argument. And I probably will also do some content commenting on technical aspects of Artemis 2, what we can expect for Artemis 3, because there is a lot there, right? The Orion spacecraft is a completely different spacecraft from the ones used in the Apollo missions, and so how is it different, and you know, what is the plan for Artemis 3? Hopefully I can talk to somebody kind of on the inside there. So yeah, that was fun. That's what I've got planned. I am going to, a lot of people asked for me to finish off the Bill Nye Ken Ham debate, so I will almost certainly do that as well. I just wanted to do this one first because it's very topical. Artemis 2 is currently, the mission is happening right now, and this piece just came out from Piers a couple days ago, April 3rd, yeah, a couple days ago. So, yeah, that was that. Lots more reactions coming, lots more debunks coming, a lot of different topics. I won't spoil anything, just they're all in the works right now. A bunch of them kind of simultaneously crystallizing as we speak. So I will get back to those. And, yeah, thanks for watching. I'll see you soon.